All right. Cool. So throughout this call, if you have any questions, feel free to either put it in the chat or unmute yourself. If you have anything that you would like to share with the group, also feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself. I want this to be very casual, as it usually is for any new members. Don't be afraid to share your experiences for any older members or veteran members. It's always great to help in any way that you can. So with today's call, I want you guys to remember, like I've always said, we want to take always from each call, kind of like that run out of the room idea. Like, what is that one thing that I'm going to start implementing? Right? My coach always says that to me in any seminar. What is that one thing from the whole 30 minutes, from the whole hour, hour and a half, like whatever thing that you're sitting in, what is that one run out of the room idea that you are going to implement? If not, it turns into a lot of information overload and then we don't take action. Along with this, if you have somewhat of a system, the things that I say today are going to help you in that system, right? So we can start incorporating these habits, but this is not a one size fit all, right? So if you do things a little bit different, don't feel like you have to change your entire system just because of what we're learning today. All right, so let's get into it. Share. Okay, cool. Can you see my screen? If you can see it, hit me with a thumb, hit me with a 1 in the chat. Perfect. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, so today we are talking about Fit Chick meal plan, how to shop it, track it, and make it, right? Just little mindset tips. Some of this for especially my vets is going to be easy. For my intuitive eaters right now, we have to continue to implement this. Intuitive eating sidebar. Today, since I started tracking, I also started measuring out my sauces with like the tablespoon. I realized a couple weeks ago that I should be doing that, because that's a habit that I need to do in terms of portion control, but I wasn't doing. So I came back to that and I realized the amount of hummus that is 1 tablespoon is not the amount of hummus that I was putting. So that was a very like eye-opening for me. All right. So next, today we are going to be talking about 3 things: grocery list. We're going to go over meal plan and how you can make that on your own, and tracking. Meal plan not being like this is what you eat every single day of the week for 7 days. Everybody's is different. Even when I mentioned there's another call, if you haven't seen it, on ways to meal prep. You can bulk meal prep, you can meal prep the day before. There's many ways that you can meal prep. So again, with the meal plan, there's other options as well. So I want to just make a more positive relationship with planning out your meals. So let's just get into it. We're going to start with your grocery list. Always go in with a grocery list. So one thing that I learned is even you can use your reminders or your notes. If you use your reminders or your notes on your phone, have like your go-to things that you always put on. I don't know if everybody does this. Have your go-to things that you always put when something runs out, and it could even go as far as like toiletries. When something runs out, you just uncheck it. So when you go to the grocery store, everything that you need to get is going to be there, right? But go in with a plan so that you're not like kind of like aimlessly going around, right? You're not like, oh, what am I going to cook this week? And especially at the beginning of your journey, this is going to be especially important because usually, I mean, I know this is how I was. I would just go into the grocery store and kind of grab whatever. Things would go to waste. I wouldn't know what I'm making this week. Eventually, it gets a lot easier, but for it, just always make sure that you go in with a grocery list. So a method that can be very, very simple, right, is 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. All right, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, and 1. What does that mean? So basically we want to just, again, keeping this super simple, like a Fit Chick grocery list, gym heads, muscle mommy kind of vibes. You guys know it's not always like extravagant recipes all the time. We keep it super simple here. We got things to do. We got to eat. We want to eat good meals, but also nutritious and also quick. So what I mean by that is we want to have 3 veggies at least. Right, these are the minimums: 3 veggies, 3 proteins, 3 grains, 2 fruits, 2 spreads, and then you want to have your add-ons as well. So when you're making your grocery list, you can think of this. You can screenshot this. You can take a picture. The recording will also be there. If you guys want me to send you this, I can. So in terms of that, all right, I'm going to open up something that I have here, and I just want you to see it in kind of like written form. I need to see things in order to kind of understand them. So for your 3 veggies, when we think of those 3, we want to have one veggie at least that is a cooking veggie, right? That actually needs to be prepared. So this could be your onions, your broccoli, your green beans, your mushroom. This is going to take active effort for you to actually prepare. You can break up the onion, chop it up, make it for the rest of the week, have it as bulk, and then just add it to your meals as the week goes on. But this veggie is going to be effort, right? We don't want to have too many of these because then it's overwhelming. Number two, always want to make sure that you have some type of a leafy green, not only for your health, but again, this is also just to make your life easier. I talk about spinach all the time. If you don't have a vegetable in your meal, grab your bag of spinach, throw it on top of there. Put it on your sandwich, put it in your eggs, anything, just grab whatever leafy greens. These are so simple because you don't have to cook them. So if you're ever running late, if you ever have to make something very quickly, you don't feel like cooking, these are your go-to. So I actually get a bunch of these because I just love them and I switch them up all the time. But some options are spinach, kale, arugula, microgreens. And then the third veggie that you want to get is something that is non-cooked, right? Obviously, leafy greens are also non-cooked. They can be cooked. But when we're thinking something that you can chop up real quick. So for example, tonight, I don't have a lot of time. I'm just going to chop up a cucumber and I'm going to add it to my meal. You can do this with carrots as a snack. You can do this with celery. You can do this with peppers, tomatoes, right? Obviously, some of these can go into different categories, but this is kind of our blueprint for veggies. One that you have to cook, one that's a leafy green, and something that you don't have to cook, right? So two of these are very, very simple. You don't have to put any effort at all. They should be in your meals. Now, when we go to protein, we want to have one entree protein, right? Chicken, steak, eggs, tofu, sea, and fish. Honestly, you can get more than one. I get eggs, I get tofu. Sometimes I get sea. If you get fish, again, it doesn't have to be super perfect, but just make sure you have your entree protein that you're going to have on the day to day. I personally will grab my tofu. I'll prep it at the beginning of the week. So during the week, I just add it to my meals. My eggs, I kind of make on the spot. Two, we want to have a non-cook, right? Something that's quick, something that we can make it as a snack. Cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, protein powder. Most of you do protein powder. That's a simple protein, doesn't involve cooking. And then three, also have a meatless option. Can you add beans? Can you add chickpeas? Can you add edamame, tofu, lentils, right? So these are a different source of protein, but again, adding more nutrients, and now we are diversifying that protein. So making sure that you have your entree, your non-cook, your meatless, right? Now you fill these all in and we're getting our groceries. Now, in terms of grains, so the first one is going to be lunch and dinner. So picking something, again, that probably has to be cooked: rice, pasta, quinoa, couscous, potatoes, hash browns. Pick two of these. And then something that's non-cooked, something that can make your life very easy: bread, oats, right? Well, you could cook oats, rice cakes, something you just quickly make a sandwich. Obviously, everything that I just said above, it doesn't have to be just three, but if you wanted to, it can be. So personally, myself, I'm a bread girl. I have 3 different kinds of bread because we eat it in the house, right? I have that privilege. When I'm living on my own, I usually get like 2 and then I alternate back and forth. The reason that I like doing this, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is just to diversify the same meal. So for example, you guys see my breakfast is basically the same every single day, but me changing up the bread from a crumpet, English muffin, or a ciabatta bread, that changes the whole meal for me. Like whatever I'm in the mood for, I go for that bread. So yeah, grains, pick 3, 1 or 2 that are cooked, and then at least 1 that are non-cooked. And then we want to do the same thing for fruit. 1 that you can pair with a meal: berries with your cottage cheese or your Greek yogurt, right? Avocado, you can put on the side of meals. Bananas, you can add to your protein shake. And then 1 that is kind of like a grab and go: an apple. You're in a rush, you don't have time, you're mad hungry, like you need to eat something. Apple, banana, some cherries, a nectarine. I'm in a nectarine phase right now. I think they're in season either way, so I'm thriving. So again, at least 2 fruits, 1 that you can pair with meal, and then 1 that is just kind of like a grab and go. And then dips and spread. So 2 of these. I am huge on these. I personally have more than 2 just because of that reason that I mentioned before. I really like having meals repeat itself, but I never really get bored of them because switching just one thing switches the entire meal for me. So me making a sandwich that has hummus versus me making a sandwich that has like buffalo is a completely different sandwich for me. So if you haven't explored this, try it out, get some salsa. I think I should put coconut aminos in these. I love coconut aminos. If you haven't had that, they're so good. But 2 types of different spreads that you can add to your meals just to make it a little bit more exciting. And then lastly, we have our add-ons, your cheeses, your seeds, your whipped creams, things that you put on top. All right, so this is kind of like a go-to grocery list. We want to make sure that we're filling these in. So I wanted to show you also what my grocery list would be from here. So for my veggies, the cooking, let's say I pick onion, all right? Leafy greens, I'm honestly picking 3 of them because I love them and I want to switch them up and add them to everything. And then my non-cook would be cucumber. In terms of my entree protein, I'm going eggs and tofu. My non-cook is protein powder. And then my meatless would be chickpeas. For grains, I'm going to go rice, hash browns, and bread. All right, those are my 3. Fruits, I'm going to go bananas, nectarines, and I'll add one here. Oh, no, 2 of these. All right, bananas, nectarines. Obviously, if you want to add more, you can go apples. And then for my spreads, I'm going hummus, tzatziki, and then my add-ons, I'm going cheese, seeds, and whipped cream. And just like that, you have an entire grocery list, right? Just by following this. All right. So this is going to be the step 1, making that grocery list, making sure you have the fundamentals in your house, right? It extends past this, of course. You're going to have some jam, you're going to have some peanut butter in your house, some ketchup. It's fine. But when we go to the groceries, these are usually the things that we need to continue to stock up on. All right. So let me pull this back up. All right. So now we did our grocery list. We filled those in. We got our proteins, our veggies, our grains, 3 of each, fruits and spreads, 2 of each, and then we have our add-ons and you fill those in. Now, let's get into meal plans and making sure that you have tomorrow's meal plan. If you have been in this program for any longer than 3 calls, I say this over and over and over again. You cannot go to sleep without knowing what you are going to have to eat tomorrow. Either way, you are going to eat. So make sure that you actually know what you are going to eat. All right. So tomorrow's meal plan. All right. The night before, you should be asking yourself, what am I eating tomorrow? The last call that I did was all about food freedom. And when you're not asking yourself this question, what am I eating tomorrow? Tomorrow comes up and you are super overwhelmed and all you're thinking about is food. All right. So just this like tip that I'm going to tell you now of planning out your meals is going to help you not only have a better relationship with food, but it's going to help you achieve your goals, because ultimately that's why you're here. We need to get shit done and I need you to work hard. All right. So 5 minutes of planning out your meals the night before can really make or break this program for you. All right. Of course, we don't want to run into didn't plan your meals. Now you have work, the gym, like your kid is crying, your friend just called you. I don't know what the case is. Everything starts hitting on the day of. And then what happens? We end up doing a whole lot of nothing. We're stressed. We don't want to eat. Food doesn't become fuel anymore. Food becomes a stress, right? You're thinking about how miserable like fat loss is, and then the gym is a drag because you're trying to change your body, but you didn't do your meals. Like all of these thoughts are going to start snowballing. And this is actually something that happened to me yesterday. I meal prepped on Sunday. However, I didn't add in my stuff. Like I didn't track my meals and plan my meals on Sunday. So yesterday I had no plan. So I wasn't able to properly track my meals and it was just kind of like a mess. All right. So what happens when you don't plan? You either skip meals. We're thinking about food all day. You've all played macro Tetris at some point where you didn't plan your meals and then you make a meal. And then as you're eating the meal, you're trying to put it in MyFitnessPal or whatever app you're using. And then you're thinking, how am I going to make sure that I hit my protein goal? Is this going to be enough food for later? It's just thinking about food all day. All right. You're not hitting your goals. You're either overeating or you're undereating. And then food becomes a mental fatigue rather than enjoyable fuel. We say all the time, food is love. Food is love. And when you have that meals, imagine I just went up to you and I handed you your meal every single day. You wouldn't think about meal. You're just like, oh, nice. This is my meal. And then you would eat it. This is the same thing that you're doing for yourself the night before. You're making food love because you're not thinking about it as a number. You're more so thinking of like, can I enjoy this meal that I'm having right now? And that's also a mental thing that we have to work on. And another thing is kind of going into like a fuck it mode, because I didn't plan. So now I'm just going to have this and I'm going to have a bite of this. And it just like snowballs into everything. And of course, inconsistency does not lead to results. Again, you are here on a mission. Sometimes this shit can get hard, but we want to make it as easy as possible. And I need you to be consistent. You need yourself to be consistent. Your goals need you to be consistent. Again, the night before, what am I eating tomorrow? Real quick, just the thought. And then we start planning it out. So here is basically the system that I use, right? When you first started this program, you did this as well, right? You kind of thought, what am I eating tomorrow? And you planned out those meals. But now, obviously, we can't follow a meal plan for your entire life. We have to start being self-sufficient with this and make, boring but fun meals. So we want to think meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4. I don't really like calling them breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like, you can, but meal 4 could be a meal 4 could be a snack. Don't really care how you organize it either. It could be meal 1, meal 2, snack, then meal 3. Don't care, but you guys get the deal. Now, let's get into meal planning. So I kind of made the same exact thing. And this is basically taking these groceries, right? I made my grocery list. I brought my stuff. Actually, the meal plan has mushrooms instead of onions. So I'm going to change that. Okay. So we're taking this and now we are making our meals. So you guys also hear me talk about a lot. Every time you're making a meal, you should be thinking about the core 4. Your proteins, your fats, veggie or fruit, and your carbs. These are the things that need to be in your meals 80% of your meals, right? Any add-ons, obviously, that's just kind of like they'll kind of like mix and match. So here's an example of my day today. So last night I said, what am I eating tomorrow? Meal 1, I'm going to have an egg sandwich. So my protein is going to be egg. My fat, that's going to be my eggs and my add-ons. I'm not a big fats girl. That's why I have to have like so many seeds and like things. So they usually mix and match. That's another story. But veggies, I'm going to have spinach. My carb is going to be some type of bread. My add-ons going to be cheese. And I'm going to spread some tzatziki on there. Now, what's my meal 2? I'm going to do a wrap. You guys saw me post it on my story, maybe. What's my protein? Egg white wrap. What's my fat? It's going to be my add-ons. Veggies, it's going to be microgreens. And my carb is going to be rice. I'm going to top that with some cheese and hummus. All right. Now, meal 3, which I'm about to have. Protein, tofu, fat, avocado, veggie, cucumber, carb, rice, add-ons, spread some coconut amino on that. Now I have a rice bowl. And then for my snack, kind of going about the same thing, a very simple one. This is a non-cook. Protein powder, some hemp seeds. You guys see me do my protein pudding all the time. Now, there's also other options that you can do. I'm not saying you have to eat the same thing every day, but you can have a protein shake for breakfast. You can have, I just made that chickpea tuna sandwich. I put it in the chat. It is so good. A hash brown plate, right? Rice cakes and eggs. All of these things are still using those same ingredients that we have. Now, the last thing that I want to show you, which is a big one for me, and honestly, it made eating and meal prepping and cooking just so much easier, just like in general. It's making the same kind of meals and switching something up, right? Like, for example, this egg sandwich that I have here, like, can I just make it with tofu instead? Or can I make this, right, and change the bread to hash browns, right? So now, again, I'm kind of having the same exact meal, but now it tastes completely different because a hash brown is going to add different life than the bread would. Now for the egg white wrap, I can do the same thing, but I can switch up the vegetable. I can switch up the sauce. So now the meal tastes different. The rice bowl, I can do the same exact rice bowl, but instead of cucumber and tofu, I'm having egg and mushroom. Same rice bowl, a little bit different. And then, of course, you can have that grab and go kind of snack, yogurt, apple. All right, so now we're looking at these meals the day before, and it becomes a lot less overwhelming. It becomes a lot less overwhelming to track as well, because it's just, what is my protein, my fat, my carb, and my veggie and fruit in most of my meals. And then you start to plug those in and you have these very simple, yet very tasty meals. Let me kind of bring it back. No. Oh, there you go. Let me bring it back this way. If you have any questions, by the way, let me know. If this is resonating with you, let me know too. I appreciate anything. All right. So again, last night I asked myself, what am I going to eat today? And I kind of think of that. Breakfast sandwich, egg white wrap, rice bowl, protein pudding. Boom. Now, what do I do with this? Now we're taking it to that last step. Oh, there's the pictures of my meals for visual learners. And just because these are like my favorite meals. So this is bomb. I had a great day today. Now, lastly, the most difficult one, the tracking. Girl, if you don't like tracking, if at some point in this journey you're like, this shit's kind of annoying, I know. I think so too. Sometimes it can get very annoying. But at some point in this journey, we are going to practice intuitive eating and you are going to get away from tracking as a whole. But just like the first month that you track and you realize that like whatever you were eating had way more calories than you thought, you realize that you were never portion controlling your rice. Like all of these things that you realize when you were tracking are how we actually learn about food, how we don't fear at some point when I tell you to eat 2,000 calories and you've never done that in your life. Like this is where tracking is so important. So right now, for this time in your life, so that you don't have to do it for the next 50 years, we're dealing with diets, right? We are just learning about nutrition. So tracking, we made our meals, right? We thought about our meals and now it's just about putting them in. Again, the night before, this has to be in your app. Today, I haven't really thought about my meals at all. Like I haven't thought about my ingredients. How much rice should I be having? I'm going to be in a rush after this call. I'm not thinking how much rice should I have? How big does this meal have to have or have to be? Because I already did that last night. All I'm doing is looking at the app and putting it together. For a lot of you, you do that the night before too. So you're just grabbing your Tupperware and you're just eating. And it makes meals much more enjoyable and less fatiguing. So I take that breakfast sandwich and then I add all my things to it. You guys saw how I put it. My protein, my carb, my fat, my veggie, and then put fruit in here. And then obviously all my milk and my coffee. All right, so there I start to add it in. So I do my eggs, I do some cheese on it. I do 2 different types of sauce. I'm a sauce girl. Some type of ciabatta, cheese. Oh yeah, I do 2 different types of cheese too. I love my breakfast. And then same thing with my egg white wrap. Right now I start adding these in. You're gonna see it's not a ton of ingredients. They're not super complicated meals. These are my favorite meals. You can make these however you want. Coach Amra, when I started coaching her years ago, she literally said to me, I love my breakfast. Please tell me I don't have to change my breakfast. I'm like, girl, you can eat whatever you want for breakfast. She's still to this day, like if you follow her on Instagram, she posts that same breakfast all the time. She enjoys it. All right. So find your go-to meals. Eventually, like at some point, I get tired of my rice bowl and then I switch it up and then I do that for a little while. But look at how simple this can be here. And then again, tomorrow, you're not really thinking about it. And then the best part is, oh, here's the visual. Look how cute. So this is basically it as a whole, everything that we kind of did today on paper. And the best thing is you're hitting your goals, right? Don't look at my protein goal. I did so bad today. I realized that yesterday. I'll do better tomorrow. But we're hitting our goals. I always like to leave some type of wiggle room just in case I want like a bite of something or I want to add a little bit of something. I have wiggle room in there. But for the most part, again, we're hitting our goals and that's the most important thing. So just to kind of recap everything. Number 1, making that grocery list. All right, very simple. 333-221. I can send you a screenshot of that if you want. If you want that spreadsheet that I just showed you, I can also send you that. Number 2, the night before, you are planning out your 3 to 4 meals. What am I eating tomorrow? Sandwich, protein shake, burrito, and some Greek yogurt, right? Very simple. Okay, cool. I have those 4, and then I start putting it in the app. And just like this, we are hitting our goals. And most importantly, we are maintaining a good relationship with food. Because I've been on the other end, and maybe you have too, where all you think of is how is this meal going to fit in my calorie like goal? What am I going to eat later? Am I going to have enough time? I'm hungry. Can I even eat this? Because I don't even know if I have enough calories. Or you end up like not eating and then you're starving at night. We want to avoid all of that. And this system is going to help you get there. So again, thank you for always being on the call. And food is love and strength is power. That is our motto. And that is why we put in this effort. 5 minutes the day before can make food genuinely love the next day, right? Adding all these nutrients, eating more, hitting our calorie goals, getting lean, getting strong, building muscle. That is the goal for why we spend those couple of minutes the night before. All right. If you guys want me to send you this too, I can. It's just an example. Let me stop sharing my screen now. Do we have any questions? Talk to me. Linda, you have a question.
Hello. By the way, while you were teaching us, I made a really yummy sandwich, and just some tofu and tomato and Dominican cheese on Kaiser roll.
I love that. I
Got the 4. But that's not my question or comment. It's when you track, do you include seasonings? Because
No.
sometimes like seasonings can like add to the calories, and I'm like, what? Garlic powder, a tablespoon of that, is that how many calories? What?
I don't include seasonings. You guys don't have to include that. It's a great question, and I will add that into like the initial documents at the beginning. It's very minimal calories that it even has. For example, you're honestly probably not even using like so many seasonings, but it's just seasonings. And I almost want to think of it like oil. For example, myself, when I cook with oil, I use the oil spray and I spray the pan, right? I use the same amount of oil every single day. It's something that's never really going to change. So regardless of changing calories, that amount is going to stay in your diet every single day. All right, so these seasonings are going to stay in your diet every single day. There's something that's consistent, and they really have like a very micro amount of calories. I can even go as far as like saying like spinach or like microgreens. If I just grab some and go like this, I don't really bother in putting it in the app because it's not significant enough. Cool. Any other questions? Yes, Maria. Oh, you're on mute.
Hello.
Hi.
Don't food shop when you're hungry. Lesson learned.
Don't food shop when you're hungry. That is amazing. That's why I like the grocery list too, because when I'm hungry, I'm like, I fiend for snacks. I am a snacking fiend. So I just want all types of bread, and I want a bagel, and I want like the pecan, like I want some ice cream. Don't food shop when you're hungry. That is true. Make impulse decisions. Any other questions? Or does anybody want to share an experience, something that works for them if they do something a little bit different?
Yeah, I started weighing my food,
Okay.
like some elements of it. I'm not like an expert on how weighing food works, but I think it's been helping me, like, because my weight's been fluctuating. Like last week, this whole entire time, like I'm like this number, and then I'm this number, and then at the end of the week I was like really low. I'm like, whoa, it's weird. So I feel like maybe weighing my food is helping me be more accurate with my portions.
Yeah. So with your weight spike right now, obviously we're increasing your calories. It's gonna happen. Then once we start getting out of that deficit, that is like the mind fuck in itself. We'll kind of work on that. But weighing your food, yes. So when it comes to, so I like to, anything that can kind of like fit in like a cup. For example, my rice, if it's blueberries, if it's something like super simple, we just want to keep it simple and just use like a half a cup, things like that. But there's certain things that you can't measure out like that, like your proteins, your tofu. Your tofu is easy because it has the label, and I usually like kind of say like, okay, add a third of the package. But like anybody that eats chicken, shrimp, even my cheese, like the shredded cheese, I weigh out, because that can really make a difference. So things like that, I think is very important to understand what you should be weighing and what you shouldn't. Because if you're weighing your blueberries and it says 57 grams and you only wanted 55 and you take out one blueberry, I'm gonna show up at your house. So do not do that. But yeah, weighing does help a ton. Couple of things. One, don't be afraid of frozen veggies or rice because sometimes it's a meal prep savior for me. Yes, I just got into frozen rice and that's what I'm having later because it took 3 minutes to make. Frozen veggies, also amazing. Two, I tend to be I need something sweet with a savory meal and will usually include a little fruit or a side of rice cake or a few chocolate chips just to satisfy that without affecting my meal. That is a great idea. The sweet tooth thing, I kind of do that too. So this is like a very random thing that I did recently. I have a protein shake that I kind of like will have a little bit after breakfast, a little bit after lunch. Then I eventually finish it, but it's that like chocolatey taste that like really gets to me. So that's like my way of like satisfying my sweet tooth. But fruits is awesome. Pairing it, even kind of doing like a half and half. Recently too, I did like I would do like a sandwich and then I do my protein pudding, like a little bit like less of a portion of both, but just to kind of satisfy that. So I love that. The chocolate chips too. I've always thought of getting chocolate chips to add it to things, and then I forget because I'm not used to it. That's a great. Love that. So everybody can kind of take that. Any other questions? Any other sharing tips? Even if it's not about this in specific, anything that's come up this week. Oh, I'm so happy we did the call today. It's been so long. No. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, talk to me.
Okay, so literally yesterday at the gym, when I was doing the hip thrust part of the workout, someone came up to me and asked and told me like, I don't know how you can do all of that. My hips could not handle it. I'm like, oh, it's just I've been doing the same workouts for the past 2 or 3 weeks, and so I'm gradually getting stronger. And then she's like, I don't know how you can lift that much. I'm like, it's possible. And yeah, it felt good.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so happy for you. Yeah, you guys are, I think everybody on this call is like extremely strong. So you guys are probably gonna get that a lot and you're probably inspiring way more people than you even think. So I'm happy that you felt that. Cool. All right. So we're going to wrap that up there. Again, if you're either on this call now or if you're on the recording and you want that spreadsheet, I can send it to you. Just shoot me a message and then I'll send you the link. And hopefully this was helpful for you. I hope you have an amazing Tuesday. Have an amazing rest of your week. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.